Welcome to the Two Stewards Show. It has come to our attention that there are listeners who have not yet given the show a 5-star rating. This is puzzling. It also hurts our feelings. In fact, the mental stress and emotional trauma combined with the severe dopamine deficiency and the crippling insecurity of never being validated is, believe it or not, just one side of the story. And trust me, you don't want to know the other side of the story. But because this show is about ruthlessly seeking to uncover the truth no matter the consequence, I'll tell it to you anyways. It has to do with algorithms. Algorithms are the great enemy of the modern content producer. They hold sway over the reach and impact your content has and can, on a whim, decide which content reaches ears and which content falls flat. I mean, the hosts are also in part responsible for the content falling flat part, but we prefer to blame the algorithms. So give the show a 5-star rating and show them who's boss. This time, we review the past few episodes and some related current events. To get in touch with the show, visit twostewards.ca. By the way, Gideon does a nice job keeping the site updated with episodes, free resources, and other goodies. Remember, this show is not financial advice, but is valuable for listening amusement purposes. Now, let's stick it to those algorithms.
Not even recording in the morning now or afternoon, but at night.
The Two Stewards Unfiltered
Night edition. That's why I never made it in late night radio.
You are in for some laughs tonight.
I don't know, maybe. Involuntary or not. But we got a few things on the go. And I thought we could start off maybe with just a recap. We've had a few guests over the last few weeks, and which was cool. I liked it. What did you like them?
Yeah, I mean, you put me on the spot now. I'm used to the guest kind of taking the role. And
sorry, buddy.
No, it's always great having these guys on. I mean, Daniel Foch has his own podcast. Samuel Cooper, obviously, with the Bureau and does the reporting. I think he has his own podcast too, right? And then
he's on Brave New Normal.
Okay.
With Jason James. I think he's on there quite a bit, like every couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, and then Richard
no,
Diaz.
Don't say his mother will be mad.
He's the Looney Hour. So all great shows and a lot of good information coming out of these guys. So we're really happy and thankful they came on.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we're a Christian podcast. We're Christian and we talk about things from a Christian worldview, but we often will have guests who are not Christian. And, people may question that, but I think there's a lot of wisdom that Christians can gain from, quote unquote, worldly sources, right?
Yeah, secular people, they do a lot of research and they see things from a different perspective. So obviously, sometimes we have to filter the episodes a little bit. So we do our best, but you might hear the odd swear word or inappropriate language, but hopefully you can bear with us with that.
We filter those out as much as we can. And sometimes we'll miss them on the original one, and the day of I'll listen to it again, and it's not because I like the sound of my own voice, but we'll catch a few that we miss. So sometimes the day one is different than day two. But no, I think it's important to and this is just my opinion, but I mean to stay, I don't know, to be a little bit wise as to what's going on in the world. Not everybody needs to do that, but I find it interesting. And I mean, I think there's a biblical not imperative, but a recommendation as well, right? And we read that too, where, it says Christians are often naive, right? So be a little bit less naive, right? Some of the parables that Jesus told about the money manager or the manager who dealt shrewdly with the people of the world. And he's kind of saying have your eyes open.
Yeah. Know the system that we're a part of. Right? And it's something we talked about with when it comes to stewardship. We have this ongoing responsibility as Christians not to, turn a blind eye to what's going on out there in the world. You can stay on top of the news, stay on top of some trends. But it's good to dive into some of these subjects in more detail and actually see how they impact your financial decisions, how they impact all your decisions, because at the end of the day, we're trying to steward everything for God's glory. And it's tricky to navigate this, right? We certainly don't know everything. We don't know very much, but having these guests on helps a lot. So,
this is a huge education for us as well. And these aren't just guests that sort of reinforce our viewpoints. I mean, sometimes, but but they're shaped a little bit sometimes by those guests as well. But like I often think of
you
Daniel.
mean to say you don't disagree with like half the things?
Some of them, and I mean, we'll make those disagreements as if it comes up in the show. Gentle disagreements.
The feedback. So after the cameras stop rolling, by the way, like with all these guests, you click stop recording, and then the conversation continues, and that's always like the super interesting part. Just for But the feedback you get is like, you guys, you talk about stuff differently. Like it's almost like the heart and soul of like, hey, what? Do you like to have children? And like, why? Like, whoa, dude, I'm on a financial podcast talking about real estate investing. Like, I don't talk about having kids. Like, what's going on here, right?
But everybody has an opinion.
No, and it's interesting to like, your opinion about real estate investing or Bitcoin or money or whatever is one thing, but then your personal life, like, how does it overlap? Because all these things come down to your worldview, right?
Well, and this is another important reason I think that we talked, or I like to talk to a lot of these guests who don't share our same worldview, or, sometimes the political leanings might be similar, but certainly not worldview. And I think one that I try to do in my personal life as well, however I can, but is like engage people who don't believe the same things that you do, right? Because you can't, like, how do you win someone for Christ if you don't know them, right? So you have like the street preaching model, where you go out on the corner of the street and you preach, and
that's the awkward one where you actually do know someone who passes by and you're like, hey, how's it going?
I don't know how effective that is in sort of a North American context. And like, no disrespect to the people who do it. If you're going to do it, be winsome, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of having the signs saying that like, you're all going to hell for this or for that. Like,
condemnation.
That's not useful. And certainly in other parts of the world, like street preaching is normal and it's accepted, right? Especially third world. Like, so, very effective there, but I'm talking in our context, right? But if how do you win somebody over if you never have a dialogue? And so with a lot of these guests, we're creating that dialogue. And I'm not saying we're converting everybody like immediately, but I don't think that's. I'm reminded of something that Jojo Ruba said. So a Christian apologist, he was on a bunch of episodes ago, but he said, don't feel the pressure, especially if you're talking to somebody like for the first time and maybe the only time you're on a plane or whatever. Don't feel the pressure that you have to win their soul right then and there.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, that's not your job. That's what the Holy Spirit does. You're a conduit, you're a tool, but he's like, maybe you're that pebble in the shoe. And that image kind of stuck with me, because there's a lot of people that we both know and talk to, semi-regularly, and guests that we've had on. Like, maybe we can be that pebble in the shoe so they understand where we come from. We can have a conversation, and over time, give them more information, right?
Yeah, so I just finished up a book by Malcolm Gladwell, Talking to Strangers. And
that's bad, right? I tell my kids not to do that. They don't listen, but...
Yeah, but talking about like not knowing people, and I think the subtitle is like what we should know about the people we don't know. And I actually recommend the book. It's really a great tool to just understand like how we often get it wrong when we make assumptions about people. And one of the things that was interesting was like just emotions. Like different parts of the world, different cultures might have different like emotions for, anger or happiness or sadness, and they portray it differently on their face.
Okay.
So that's why we're not always on the same page when you're smiling, and I'm kind of like, No.
And here I thought it was disdain. Who knew?
Yeah. But like that's a very real barrier that you might not think about. But you know, when you have intermixing of different cultures, and then one might read your face differently, just as an example, that can lead to just miscommunication or misunderstandings, right? And then you make an assumption about what they're feeling by reading their face, but you know, you don't actually understand them. So this is maybe going off on a little tangent, but I found that book really, really interesting for just, okay, take a step back, actually try to get to know these people. And like you said, not trying to convert them on the first try, but like, you know, we'll have them on again, and we'll, not that we're making it our goal to just convert everybody, but we're learning these things. And then, we're trying to see where people are at. And
I mean, there's the image of leaven as well, right? Leaven, a little leaven. Leaven's the whole
dough.
Loaf? Not dough. The whole loaf. Anyways, the leaven's the whole thing. The whole thing. Whatever it is.
Proverbs.
But it's, you know, it works slowly. I mean, depending on if you're using active yeast or not. I don't know. This is a bad analogy. No, it's a good analogy because it's biblical, but a bad explanation of the analogy. Anyways, the point is a little bit of leaven. It does its work over time.
We said we were in for some laughs here, so
laughing at us. Okay, so anyways, I found it interesting speaking with Foch and getting his some of his thoughts on some of the personal things, talking about family and kids, and because I think he's got, you know, one of the biggest real estate podcasts in Canada, right?
Yeah.
But they don't talk about that stuff. There's a lot of stats, like extremely useful stuff. If you're into that, maybe a little dry if you're not.
Yeah, well researched.
Yeah, but seeing, you know, where, like, sort of what's behind the screen, behind the persona. So that was interesting.
Yeah, didn't he say that people who don't have kids will naturally kind of just fade themselves out into non-existence? I don't know. How did he put it exactly? But
okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, people who don't have kids are not going to perpetuate their worldview and their ideologies. So it's kind of like self-inflicted, you know? Hey, I want to live for myself. Well, then you live for yourself. And when you die, like, no one will live for you because, like,
that's right.
Right. So that was interesting.
And Rich Diaz as well, right? He,
productivity in Canada was a big thing. They look at all kinds of stuff on the Living Hour, but, and then immigration as well.
Yeah.
You know, we've been building up, I think Foch and Cooper, I don't know, we all kind of touched on this immigration subject. Seems to be a big thing, right? Like Canada had a great immigration policy and a great reputation globally, and now it's kind of tarnished, and it's not something we just bounce back from as a country.
Yeah.
So I love trying to get their actual, like, hey, are you bullish on Canada? Is Canada where it's at? Do you think, you know, this is going to go places? Or, and they all have kind of like, I'm Canadian, but like I would move out of here in a heartbeat, but I'm still Canadian and there's still hope, right?
Well, I think that, I mean, it's the same with Sam Cooper, right?
Yeah.
I think he said kind of the same thing.
We can fight for this country.
Or alluded to the fact that, like, maybe operations will be moving somewhere else, but I'm still Canadian.
Yeah, it's not going to be the U.S. because they're clamping down.
Yeah. So you have this sense among a lot of these. That's a good job identifying that there, Brent. But this sense of patriotism, but frustration. And like I feel the same thing, right? Just looking at what are we doing?
But it's not something we ever really felt collectively. I don't know, like maybe there's a handful of people over the past 15, 20 years who have kind of said, you know what, enough with Canada, I'm out of here. But I think now it's starting to just be more commonly talked about and felt. And, you know, you go to a family gathering and say, oh, so when are you moving out of Canada? It's like, what? Like, we never really talked about this before, but.
No, it was, this was the place to come, not the place to be from, right?
Yeah.
Or the place to leave. And I don't know, you know, maybe that's just our circle. Not everybody I talk to certainly feels that way, but anybody sort of on our political side of the spectrum, I guess, for sure. But Sam Cooper, that was I can't overstate how, like, I don't know, just how incredible his reporting is. And, I think in years to come, he will be more recognized for it, hopefully. But, we're trying, Canada is trying to turn a blind eye to everything that he has to say. And it's ridiculous. So,
well, when we looked at quickly the economic impact of some of these things, right? Like the drug trafficking, the illegal activities that go on in the real estate market, especially in Vancouver, right? The Vancouver project. Like the government's not really incentivized to clamp down on it because of the economic consequences. So this is kind of where I think, we need good, solid Christian leaders, people with virtues that can stand up for that in the face of the temptation to just willingly turn a blind eye, right? And that's a big backbone.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when there's a lot of people, like when there's active resistance to that. It's one thing to just like stand up for good, but when there's people in the government who are actively opposing you. So maybe we'll get into some of the RCMP stuff on that note. So
he flips his sheet over and it's like, ooh, we're going to be here all night.
It's just, if you could only see it, folks, it's scribblings of a madman and, arrows connecting things. And
this Chinese guy talked to that guy.
I need one of those, the whole wall, full of like string and pictures and stuff. But this is what I feel like sometimes.
This money went from this I Pro Realty trust account over to this.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about those guys after too. But, okay, a couple things. So we talked to Sam Cooper, and then after he posted some new information.
Are you saying he came on our show and then he dropped the bombshells?
Yeah, a little bit. He dropped a few, he dropped some hints and some good stuff. So
we're just not good enough.
You can't blame him for not scooping himself. Anyway, so the Falkland, not the Falklands, not the islands, but Falkland, BC, the fentanyl super lab. So this was not big news. It was in the news, but it wasn't huge news, right? So this was a massive bust, October 2024. They took 500 kilograms of narcotics. Kilograms, I don't know. It's a lot. I don't know how we can better explain that, but 500 kilograms of narcotics worth $500 million. So this is one lab, one location, right? And this is what they seized at the place.
So there's not the flow through, they could be pumping that stuff out.
Oh yeah. Constantly. So usually because what you interdict is a small portion, right?
Yeah.
So $500 million worth of drugs, street value, they seized from this location. They also got 89 firearms, and if you can look it up, Falkland drug bust, right? And they always have the contraband displayed in front, and it's kind of impressive, the amount of rifles and handguns and ammunition, body armor, 500 grand in cash, and one arrest.
One arrest.
So
they got everybody involved.
Guy. Yeah. I guess this one guy was running this massive. I mean, so if $500 million worth of drugs. So I don't know how many billions of dollars was this place turning over a year. One lab. So
this is 2024.
Take a breath.
Yeah, so this is 2024. This news came out, or this is dropping now? And
2024, they did the bust.
They did the bust, but they didn't go publicly. Nobody knew about it, or
no? I think it was.
But it wasn't
there.
big news. What you're saying?
It was a drug bust, and it didn't really make a lot of headlines. Which, I don't know why it wouldn't, because that's a huge bust. But I think it was. I don't know if you're conspiracy minded, right? It was played down in the media.
Right.
And because that's not, they wanted we're doing our job, but let's not make too much of this, because if you look at that, you realize that's a huge problem.
I mean, if you do make $500,000, you should probably buy some guns. I can see that.
You'd think so. But
one thing led to another. Who's a comedian that always uses that? One thing led to another.
I don't know, but I bet you it's an old timey one. Anyway, so 2022. the U.S. tips off the RCMP about, hey, we think there's a big lab over there, right?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing a lot of results and a lot of information, drugs flowing across the border from this one spot. Like we've kind of figured out, here it is, right? RCMP doesn't do anything. 1 year later, the U.S. sanctions a company called Valerian Labs, run by an Iranian-Canadian feller. And this is a Health Canada licensed operation, by the way. So it means they're probably licensed for legal marijuana, right? And so a lot of these companies are
So the
fronts.
U.S. government sanctioned a
Canadian company.
a Canadian government approved company.
Yes.
Okay.
So the head of the company and the company itself, right? So that raised some eyebrows, and basically said like this company is part of a massive Chinese trafficking syndicate, right? And stop me if you've heard this before, right? All this stuff that we have dismissed, that the government has dismissed and the media has dismissed as no, it's not a problem, and people are like, oh no, there's no issues, right? Yeah, and say what you want about the U.S., but I mean, we're talking, this is not even Trump era, so you can't blame it on Trump, right? If you're trying to discount this. So anyways, the RCMP starts investigating at that point, but they will not share the information with their U.S. counterparts. Like, why not, guys? And then
they're too embarrassed about.
No. It's the whole thing. So when they bust this lab, it's a surprise to the DEA and other U.S. drug enforcement, law enforcement agencies, right? So something that's like, this is a transnational thing. It affects the U.S. and Canada. Like, you should work together, right? I'm not saying we have to bend the knee to the United States, but they have massive intelligence capabilities. Like, why would we not work with them? But no, they didn't. It was a surprise thing. And I mean, you can draw your own conclusions. I'll draw some for you if you don't. But it goes back to some other examples, right? 6 years ago, the U.S. approached the RCMP and said, hey, like, there's issues with trucking companies from Canada that are bringing drugs, like, both ways, right, through the border, like the trafficking. The RCMP was like, we don't think we want to work with you on that. And they, in the cases where the U.S. arrested a truck, you can't arrest a truck, can you? I don't know. Maybe it's part of the convoy, but no, stopped a truck, arrested the trucker.
Diesel powered.
And seized all the drugs that were on it. The RCMP actually had the cheek to complain to them, saying like, no, what are you doing? Like, let it cross the border. And they found out the RCMP was doing this. They would know about a drug shipment coming from the States into Canada, and they wouldn't say anything to the people in the U.S. because they wanted the glory to arrest the offender when they came in, if they arrested him. Right? So just ridiculous. So we have, especially considering that most of these guys get off scot-free. And this is what, like, you can see the tensions that are rising in the U.S., right? So there's two operations, Cobra and, I can't even read my notes, Brisa, I think was the other one. You can Google them. Two major drug operations, drug stings that the RCMP conducted, brought to trial, and for one reason or another, the defendants got off scot-free. All this property was returned to them like crazy. And so I should say these are Indo-Canadian truck lines specifically. And like, this is not me being racist. These are the facts. And this is what the U.S. said initially to the RCMP. Maybe that's why they didn't want to investigate. But they're like, hey, you have all these sort of Indian-owned trucking companies. And people have talked about this, right? They're like, what is with the huge rise in Indian trucking companies? And then you can tie in the temporary foreign worker program and all the stuff we've been talking about. It all ties into this, right? Corrupt trucking, licensing, all this stuff ties into it. And you can see it's because they want to traffic drugs. And yes, not every Indo-Canadian trucking company is, I'm tarring them all with the same brush, but and I'm sure they're not involved. But there's an undeniable connection. They are the the transport arm of some of the people we talked about with Sam, of these drug trafficking rings, right? So, and like, no surprise, it runs along ethnic lines, right? Because if you have some sort of connection, it's much easier to keep that, to keep your activity covert and keep it under wraps, right? If you're all part of the same community, you don't want to rat each other out, right? You have Mexican cartels, you have Iranians, you get Chinese, and then you have Indians as well. And again, not saying every person of those ethnicities is involved, but if you're part of law enforcement, like,
there is a lot of people of those there is a lot of people of those ethnicities, Mark.
Yeah, there's a ton, and they're given a bad name to everybody else. But anyway, so RCMP is declining to work with the U.S., complaining when they make the arrests. Part of the reason the U.S. doesn't want to work with them anymore either, or give them information, is because when they do make an arrest, it all falls apart, right? So you'll spend millions on a complicated investigation only to have no charges and for the guys to walk free. So there's a couple kingpins,
legal loopholes in Canada's system that Sam was talking about, right?
Yeah. So there's two rules. One is Jordan, one is Stinchcombe.
Yeah.
So the Jordan one, I think, is you have to produce, or you have to take people to trial in a reasonable time. And like, what a frustrating thing, right? If you do all this work and then the judge is like, you guys didn't prosecute it quickly enough, right? And it's so complicated and archaic to put all this together. The other one, Stinchcombe, is you have to turn over all your evidence to the defendant's lawyers. Yeah. So if you have confidential informants, like, you can't do that. Ridiculous.
It's like trying to start a company and giving all of your stuff to the competition before you launch the company.
Yeah, here's what we're going to do, guys. What do you think? Okay, a couple other things, and I'll wrap this up. RCMP was investigating Iranian money launderers. They came across this Chinese feller. I guess Chinese national is a better way to put it, but I like feller. He had moved $600 million in the span of 6 months, right? Just money moving around between accounts and going places. Like, that's not normal. There's something's probably up.
Mark, if you had 600 million, well, like, what else would you do with it?
The government wouldn't know about it, I'll tell you that. Anyways, they declined to investigate further because they had a different, and this again was in conjunction with some U.S. sources, right? They're like, no, we're not, we have a different focus on this case, so we're not going to pursue that avenue. Just like there's hey, cops, there's a guy robbing a house. Yeah, no, we got a jaywalking call down the street. We gotta look at that one. So that's not our focus right now. Okay, thank you. Anyways, it just mind-boggling. And for the people who are mad about tariffs, be mad about this, right? This has been like reaching boiling point over the years. Like, not just, all of a sudden somebody got mad, but like for many years it's been an issue. And you got to think, if we're so
laissez-faire,
an amateur hour, like, why would anybody want to share intelligence with us? And that's what we're seeing. We're getting shut out of intelligence operations, intelligence gathering from other countries because we're either incompetent or we're corrupt.
Willfully blind.
Well, it's worse than willfully blind, right? That's turning a blind eye, but there's corruption. So that's why, where with this Falkland bust, you have to wonder, like, what is going on, right? You took a super long time to investigate. You obviously did some kind of you must have been doing surveillance. So you're telling me you only ever saw one guy going to and from this lab, right? When you do the bust, you don't announce it to anybody else, like your counterparts in the U.S., right? So they can maybe get ready to nab other people who are involved, right? Like, to me, it stinks. And they're like, okay, the U.S. is really bugging us about this stuff. We got to do something. So, like, let's say you're the owner of the super lab. Hey, Brent, we're going to do something. Maybe make sure nobody's there on this day.
Yeah.
Right? Like leave one guy there so we can arrest somebody at least. But yeah, $500 million worth of drugs. They get one low-level guy who doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
He's just the fall guy. And like, yeah, sure, he's involved, so arrest him, fine. But to me, it speaks of corruption. I have no proof or no basis other than
So
like
you just spent the last 20
like.
minutes creating a conspiracy theory, or
Yeah, that's how it's done, folks.
that's how it starts.
Take it to the bank. No, but I mean, you just have to use common sense.
Yeah.
Like what other, the Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is generally the right one.
That's true. Yeah.
So what do you think? So mind-boggling. One more bit of fallout from that, and we've talked to Sam Cooper as well, right? About the state of morale in the RCMP, right? And so you have like a lot of low-level people who get into policing because they want to do the right thing, right? That's their dream. Law enforcement want to uphold good and truth. So 7% of the workforce of the Mounties is off on extended sick leave.
How many percent?
7%. Maybe you're like, oh, okay, just think of any place that you work at or you have worked at or whatever, like 7%. So 7 out of 100 people is off on extended sick leave. And the thing with the Mounties is they don't have really a good short-term or long-term disability program. You have to resign in order to get their long-term disability. But you can stay on sick leave indefinitely. Like indefinitely. Till somebody maybe forces you back to work, but it didn't look like that's happening. So, and I looked back a little bit, already people were sort of saying when like 2020, I think it was, like 5.5% of the force is off on sick leave, like something's up. It's 184% increase in the last 14 years. It's a huge amount. It's $58 million in salary every year that's getting paid out, and they're just like they're off getting full salary. And so, yeah, I'm sure. Are there scammers? Sure, there's always scammers anywhere. But how many people are just like stressed out of their mind, and they dedicated their lives to this case and maybe endangered their lives for it all to fall apart for what?
Yeah,
for either incompetence or corruption. Like why? Yeah. Forget it, man. I'm out. Like my whole world is shattered and I'm done. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
And it's not just the RCMP, right? It's coming from, like it has come from the Trudeau Liberal government.
Yeah.
Again, this is me conspiracy theory, but like that whole administration was like corruption. Corruption equals Trudeau is all I got to say about that.
Oh, all right. Well, push that camera button so we can keep going here. Yeah, I think the morale in law enforcement, corruption just trickles down. It's just like self-fulfilling thing, right? You have corruption, then you have law enforcement that sees where things don't go anywhere. Okay. Yeah. When I hear that, just kind of as a layperson thinking about this and not knowing what to say, I think about like just everyday people going to work, and either they're completely unaware of this or now they're starting to see this, and I don't know to what extent this has been going on for how long and what throughout history, but you're living in this false reality, right? Like the truth is not obvious.
Yeah.
And I like what I always come back to is the economic reality of, like, let's say real estate values in Vancouver, right? That's a thing that the average person can understand.
Yep.
Right. They might not know drug cartels and trafficking
the Vancouver model.
Yeah. They might not know that the US and Canada aren't sharing data with one another and that conflicts between their intelligence communities, but they're, the average person knows that, like, hey, house prices in this area of the city or in the entire city are astronomical and I can't afford it. And like we've talked about the migration from cities like Toronto and Vancouver to Alberta, Nova Scotia, like the US, wherever, like more affordable, right? And it's almost like average people don't really know what's going on behind the scenes all the time, but they're like, they see the symptoms of it, right? And then they act like rationally based on that. Well, hey, I can't afford it here, or I gotta move, or something's up here that's kind of strange. Why is a house $15 million? And that house is $15 million, and that house, like, like what? So this is kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle in behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And like, does this stuff fall apart at some point, or is this just like, this is always happening in the background of every country? Is this always happening throughout history? Is this what we see? Right. And you feel like you're living a lie. Like, it just feels kind of, it's scary. It's sad.
Well, I mean, at the risk
Sorry,
of
Mark, I need a big bear hug.
I got one for you, buddy. I mean, at the risk of boring everybody again, but I'll go back to cycles of history, right? Fourth turning. What era of history are we in? And I think, we've been at sort of the end point. All this to me speaks of a failing state, right? Just institutions become endemically incompetent, corrupt, have low morale, all this stuff, right? It's just not functioning well. And I think we can say that about the RCMP. It's not functioning well. That goes. Yeah,
and there's almost like at all levels things aren't functioning well, but there's no amount of bootstrap pulling up you can actually do to fix it. It's not like it has to fall apart or disintegrate, or like something has to break before people
you don't want. I mean, so what's the solution with the RCMP? Some people have suggested it, like, let's not dismantle it, but let's revamp it completely. And, to me, that kind of makes sense.
I think those two go hand in hand. First you dismantle and then you revamp completely.
Well, if you can't revamp it if there's nothing left, right?
You first vamp it, then you revamp.
Well, okay, CBC, for example, just throw it out. Garbage done. Yeah. Okay, RCMP, I think you can save, and but you got to change the focus, right? Because they do a lot of different things. And so you look at the U.S., they have the CIA, FBI, state agencies, local agencies, right? So in some jurisdictions, the RCMP does everything, right? They do contract policing, they call it. So like a lot of rural Canada gets RCMP as their police force, right? Like, somebody steals your iPhone, you call the RCMP and they come out.
Yeah.
Right. But they're also responsible for like federal stuff, right? Cybercrime, financial crimes, VIP protection, right? Justin Trudeau's son, Xavier, has like an RCMP detail, right? The local police stuff, right? All this different federal response. Like, if you look up all their departments, there's a gajillion of them, right? So the suggestion is, like, make them just a federal only force with a limited focus so they can actually focus on that and do it. And then, let local jurisdictions have their own police force, right? Ontario has the OPP, Hamilton Police Force, Toronto Police Service. So like, go to that model. You get the RCMP out of that. So they're I'm not an expert, but that seems like not a bad approach, right? You don't want to get rid of all the institutional knowledge, but you want to shake it up enough so that people know you're serious. But you talk about how it has effects on other people or other agencies as well, right? You have I don't know if you've seen this. There's been several cases recently of people of a certain ethnicity. I can't even say it anymore because I'm gonna get banned. But like, going to remote locations, remote-ish, like in the woods. One was in the woods. This one was on a bridge somewhere. And they're just posting it to their social media, like, not like it's a secret, right? No masks or anything. License plates visible in this latest one is Bracebridge area. And they got like all these guns, long guns, and like not all of them are legal. Assault style rifles, right? If that should worry you if it's an assault rifle. Anyways, they're just like, shooting off their guns like crazy, right? Some of them in the air. These guys were shooting in the river at targets, left garbage everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. And, the Bracebridge police are like, if you have any information or you might be able to help. It's like, guys, the license plates are there. Like, okay, maybe it was a stolen car and a stolen license plate, but it looks like, It's their own cars. They're putting it on social, like, you have their social media accounts.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You can't figure this out? Come on. The other case of the guy, where was he? Lindsay, I think. This feller, he's asleep in his apartment, as you would be at 3 a.m, right? Wakes up and he hears something and like, oh, there's somebody in my apartment rifling around. And so at this point, the guy has like 3 garbage bags of possessions ready to go out the window, and he's got accomplices waiting outside. This guy didn't know that. But so he goes to the kitchen to get his cell phone, which to me, I'm like, you like, really? You don't like put yourself to sleep by doom scrolling on Twitter? But hey, to each his own, right? Maybe there's a lesson.
I don't have my phone in my bedroom, so no one's getting a hold of me when I'm sleeping.
So yeah, okay, there you go. So this guy's doing the same thing, but he goes to the kitchen to get his phone, turns his phone on, like, opens it up or whatever, and like, obviously there's a light comes off of the screen, which alerts the intruder, who then attacks the guy. And we don't have all the details, but this is what I've been able to gather. He's armed with a crossbow, by the way. The intruder.
Of all things, like.
Yeah. But crossbow, I think, starts whacking. Like, he didn't shoot the guy, but he whacks him with it. And the guy's in the kitchen, so it sounds like he grabbed a knife and stabbed him, right? So the intruder's been arrested, but so has the fella who lived in the apartment. And so the intruder was in critical condition, airlifted to the hospital. I don't think he's died. You might have heard about that. But anyways, a lot of people are up in arms about this, because it's like you wake up 3 a.m.
What are you gonna do?
Like, you have split second to, like, you go to see what's going on. Somebody attacks you. What do? You're going to
defend yourself, yeah.
Yeah, so if you believe the police service, this is just like the Toronto Police Service saying, leave your keys by the door so it's easier for people who break in, right? Like, just ridiculous. Like, enforce property rights, enforce the law, and all they're doing is telling people, don't call the police. Call a friend, call whoever if somebody breaks into your house, but don't call the police, right? Because if you have to defend yourself, you're going to jail. If you're going to defend your family, your wife, your children that are in the house, you're probably going to jail, right? And they're on about like, oh, it's got to be reasonable force in light of the situation. I don't know. Someone's attacking me with a crossbow at 3 a.m. Like,
what's reasonable?
Well, if
sounds like an unreasonable situation.
Yeah, someone breaks into your house with a weapon, you have to assume the worst, that they're going to kill you or somebody else. So you should be able to kill them. So anyways, there's a debate about castle law and all this stuff, and that's stuff for another one. But anyways, point is, the police just seem incompetent, whether or not, we're being fair or not. They can't find criminals. When citizens find criminals, the citizens get arrested. Like, just more symptoms, I think, of a failing state.
Yeah, and they got a tough job. I don't know. Like, for the ones that are solid police officer, that's a tough job, man. So
yeah, if you talk to any, like, a lot of them are demoralized, right? Privately, they won't say that, in any public capacity. But
we're just picking on law enforcement. But if you look at, like, for example, the healthcare industry, yeah, like, how many nurses do you know that are kind of demoralized?
How many nurses do you know that like their job, who are not like new within, the first year?
They're in the honeymoon period.
Yeah, like a lot of them like,
I'm making a lot of money.
What they like, the concept, and when they can actually do stuff, but not.
Yeah,
they hate their jobs, all of them. So I don't know.
That's what this world is all about, Mark. It's just increased suffering.
Just like Canada, it wouldn't be a good episode if I didn't take a jab at Carney, right? February 2025, he's like, Pierre Poilievre is going to kneel before Trudeau. August 2025, Carney kneels before Trump, not Trudeau. Trump. August, he kneels before Trump, right? Elbows down, and he's got some silly analogy about, like, you gotta know when to stick handle and when to have your elbows up. And it's like, yeah, sure. Kenny Rogers sang about that too, right? You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Yeah. He did a better job. Anyways, we're excluded from...
He was a professional gambler. We just do it behind the scenes here.
I think about that song and I'm like, you're taking life advice from some dude in a train car who like doesn't even have a cigarette and he's got to borrow yours. I don't know if that's the best idea, Kenny. I mean, it's a great song, but
gambling's not about making money, is it? It's just about
it is
the thrill of losing it.
I guess. I don't know. That's all I've ever had when I've tried it, so don't recommend it. Anyways, just like we're excluded from everything on the world stage now, right? The NATO meetings, the Ukraine stuff that's happened recently, you just see these pathetic press releases like Carney issues statement on, or has meeting with the agriculture minister of Finland, or, about pork bellies. Not an actual headline, but that sort of thing, right? Just trying to like grasp at straws. It's like you weren't invited to the meetings, you weren't in the room, nobody consulted you, right? Part of it is, again, this like nobody wants to do anything to do with security with Canada because we're so either corrupt or incompetent. But anyways, more symptoms of failing state. So I mean, we have things we can do to fix the RCMP. What do we do to fix Canada? That's a much bigger question. And to your point, maybe we want to talk about the I Pro Realty thing just for a second, right? Because like, what do we keep saying? I don't know.
You mean scandal?
Yeah, like, you can use ChatGPT.
$10.5 million disappeared from trust accounts.
Yes, but so what have we been saying, or what have I been saying this whole episode, right? Corruption.
Yeah.
Right? Just everywhere you turn, it seems like everyone's corrupt.
So real estate is a self-regulated industry.
Yeah.
So I was reflecting on that word, like self-regulated. It's like the government is self-regulated. What other things are self-regulated? Seems to go bad when we regulate ourselves. I don't know.
It does when I have unfettered access to the pantry.
But like when you don't...
That's I need my wife to help regulate.
We started off the episode reflecting on, okay, we're Christians. Like we have an external source of regulation, maybe you can call it, right? Like we have a biblical standard here that gives us a guideline for life. We're not coming up with these rules internally. And I think that's the thing that separates Christianity from many religions, but then also like it's a high bar, like a high bar. It's a high calling, right? If you're involved in this I Pro Realty scandal, like it could be so easy to just kind of go with the flow and what happened? So like these guys, they were discovered in the spring.
Yeah.
And then, so RICO is the governing body that kind of uncovered this.
RECO, Real Estate Council of
Real Estate Council of Ontario. Ontario governing body. Hey guys, we're missing $10.5 million from the trust account, which is money that's set aside for like basically consumer or like customers.
So this would be like someone's deposit, right? Like I'm going to buy this house, here's $100,000.
Yeah. And the rule is don't touch that money. Oh, you go through all the compliance stuff and it's like, all right, slide number 1, don't touch the money. All right. Now that we've reviewed that, let's go to slide number 2. Don't touch the money. Like, all right, 15 minutes later. Yeah. Now that you know all these things, don't touch the money. Yeah, I don't know. $10.5 million seems like a fair amount too. I don't know. Where do we know where this money went to?
Okay, so just like one thing. I think there was a bunch of complaints, which led to
just imagine
RICO,
the complaint.
Like where's the money? Well, but it wasn't that. I don't think there was any impairment in operations yet. Like I don't know that. This is the problem. We don't know all the details because RICO had a lot of the details and just kind of like tried to shut it down and keep it hush hush. But basically, they announced to this real estate the brokerage that we got to do an audit, guys, which they're supposed to be doing much more regularly. Yeah. But as soon as they announced that, iPro was like, "Oh yeah, we got a problem. We're gonna shut down." And immediately opened another I something firm.
I not pro.
Yeah, I amateur. And had had places for all of their
iFraud Realty.
all of the realtors magically, like the next day. This just some unrelated.
They had a whole
company.
package of business cards for every agent. And, new signs
magically. So yeah, 8 million.
It doesn't look good on the
from trust
industry. For an
accounts.
industry that's really suffered with like public sentiment, and especially with, hey, like what do these people actually do, and are they trustworthy, and the amount of agents that we have registered in Ontario. And
Well, how many agents was it? Like 2,400 or something?
2,400, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great look.
But yeah, basically the allegation is that they misuse the funds, right, to pay operating expenses. It sounds like the two founders were living pretty high on the hog. So operating expenses can be a lot of like payments on my Rolls Royce.
It's
right?
hard to not live high on the hog with $10.5 million. Like what?
I don't know. I think it would be if you know that there's $10.5 million in the account,
It's
and
got to go back in there.
we owe $10.5 million like for all these different things, right? Or maybe 10.4.
Yeah.
Right? It's like anybody who's taking money from someone else. Like, oh wow, there's a lot of money in the account. Like, yeah, but none of it's yours.
Yeah.
It's all for and to be held in trust, right? You've done the courses.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I'm going to think
something.
twice when I send in customer deposits, and I'm probably going to think 3 times and double check these things. But yeah.
And I guess the kicker is that Rico did not charge the brokerage, right? They have the authority to charge them, I guess, and issue fines. Nope.
Yeah.
I think they maybe took their licenses away.
So I think this is another example of like these old structures and systems that have kind of been taken for granted, abused, corruption creeps in, you have like decreased morality. This is the fourth turning kind of thing that we've been chatting about and coming to a head, right? And one more thing added to the list of, okay, if this real estate brokerage is doing it, like, has it happened before and we don't know about it? Or like, if the governing body can kind of uncover this stuff and not make it public right away, like, are there other things where it's happened before and then they get the money back somehow by magic and never goes public? Or like, it seems like we're in for a new way of doing things in the future. Like when we talked to Daniel Foch talking about AI and how, standards for real estate industry could change or evolve over the coming years.
Yeah.
I think that's going to have a big impact, right? And you're going to see like, it's a tough market. Agents aren't really, having an easy time. Now there's this public sentiment that's against them. You have AI that's going to like take over their job, maybe make good agents more productive and bad agents,
very unproductive.
Unproductive. Yeah.
Well, so one thing that, like you talked about the Vancouver model and the issues in Vancouver, right? Where have governments and other people turned people's attention when it comes to real estate, right? It's it's a diversion, right? They're not like, there must be an issue with, money laundering, money printing by the government leading to asset inflow. No, it's like, it's those greedy developers. Right? How many times have you heard that and you see people pick up that banner and run with that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like a total deflection and like, I don't know if you want to call it a psyop or whatever you might want to call it, but this is the government completely distracting people and using politics to, divide and conquer, I guess, is the idea, right? To put people's priorities in the wrong spot to distract them from the real issue, right? Because if I was corrupt and I was making money off this money laundering as a government official, which undoubtedly some of them were.
Going to say you were making money off this podcast without my co-host knowing about it.
No, we don't need to talk about that. No, who audits podcasts? By the way?
Where's all of our royalties?
Oh, the tens of
You're
cents.
living high off the hog, drinking your Coca-Cola over there.
Brand name,
and
you're drinking tea with honey. Poor guy can't even afford sugar. Anyways, like, what would you do, right? You deflect, and that's I think part of the useful thing about politics as well is that we get involved in politics and we kind of lose sight of like what's actually happening. And that's as for Christians as well. We fall into that trap. And I get worked up about stuff all the time. But it's like if we're Daniels living in a corrupt administration, what do you do? Right? Like, what's the answer to all this, right? Do we fight to reforge? And we talked about this a little bit before, right? Christian nationalism, right? We got to get Gideon. Let's get a Christian nationalist on the show. No, but I'd like to talk about this a little more with someone who's got stronger things, right? Is that the way to go? Do we forge a Christian state?
Well,
a
listener sent me a thing the other day that was just the amount of wealth that BlackRock has access to compared to all the amount of wealth that Christians have access to.
Oh.
So, and Christians, I think, was like 4 times the amount of wealth that they control versus BlackRock.
Really?
So there was kind of like this call to be like, hey,
in the world?
Yeah. I think it was globally. It might have been US, but like it was basically just like this call to say, hey, Christians, if you choose to vote with your dollars, you can have a very, very large outsized impact on the world that you might not understand. So anyways, I'm going to read the book. He challenged me to read the book. So I'm going to read the book. It's coming in a couple of weeks and we'll look into it. But the real estate, so like the reason why we kind of wanted to look at real estate and why both you and I like it is because of the financial benefits in the long run, which we've talked about this with different guests, but like, why is it that real estate is such a good investment? And it's because the system is set up that way. And we've had this 50 years of fiat money, that's unsound money, that's in the hands of the government. The government controls the production of it, so they can control the flow of it. They can benefit from it. People close to them benefit the most. And hard assets like real estate benefit. But I think what we're seeing now is there's also liabilities with real estate too, right? So it's not all like up and up and
what?
Yeah, I know. I run my whole life around this, but like, so that's kind of why we're interested in Bitcoin as well. And I think as a Christian looking at Bitcoin, there's like, I think we're going to talk to Tim Foch. I'm excited to talk to this guy. So this is Magnalia Foundation. People can go check it out if you want to get ahead of the game, but we're going to try and get Tim on. And he's a Christian looking at Bitcoin from a biblical lens and just seeing like, okay, how does this technology interact with our beliefs? But then also like, it seems to be a tool that is available to us, to Christians, to everybody, that is kind of outside of this nonsense.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, it's, I would say comforting. Like it's not our savior, but it's also like, it's very profound that there's all this corruption going on. There's, drug trafficking, there's corruption in different levels of law enforcement or government. Maybe we can't say for sure, but like, Occam's razor, it seems like it is. And then in real estate, okay, and like in all kinds of different kind of dated industries and things that have been corrupted over time by the fiat regime that we're living under. And then there's this new technology that like they can't manipulate.
Right.
Like algorithmic, like it's engineered to not be able to manipulate. And you can opt into it and you can own a piece of it and no one can censor those things. And like, there's so many aspects of this that are just like, wow, this could be a powerful tool. Like it's not necessarily an investment the same way like real estate or a business or something that generates income for you is. But I just think it's, in a way it's God's way of providing opportunities too, right? Hey, here's a new technology. You have to use wisdom. But, as Christians, we're stewarding, and this is the technology that we have available to us, and take a good hard look at it and decide, right? Like, does this align with scriptural values more or less than the fiat money regime?
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just my little Bitcoin rant because I can't get over how interesting it is. I still hear from listeners who don't own Bitcoin, and I'm like, this is not financial advice. This is listening amusement only. But
oh man,
I don't know.
I still hear from listeners who haven't liked or given us a 5-star rating. You know, that's to me, that's just almost as mind blowing.
Yeah.
So there's our little plug. Give us a good rating. Help us expand the reach of the show. And
yeah, the more you like it, the more time we will dedicate to it, which means it will hopefully get better. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I will probably take the same.
Mark, one of these episodes, I'm going to write
approach.
notes for it, and then you're going to ask me questions.
Okay.
It won't just be a whole bunch of laughing and rambling for me.
No, there will be laughing and rambling from me, anyways. You'll be a little more involved. But yeah, you got me thinking again about the Christian nationalism, right? Like, what do we do in this sort of failing state, and how does that work? You talk about corrupt institutions, and some people think like that, you know, that's the answer. Like, yeah, the answer is our nation has to turn to God. But I don't, so I'm not in favor of Christian nationalism, just in broad strokes, right? As the sort of thing that is forced top down upon a nation, right? I think it has to be grassroots. And if that's how it ends up, awesome. That would be great. Right, if it came from the people up through to the government.
If people became Christians
yes.
and then formed a government,
and then naturally the government would be a Christian government.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But that, you know, number one, that means everybody's got work to do, talking to non-Christians, right, and sharing the gospel and being that pebble in their shoe, right. So that's like, oh yeah, I gotta actually do work. As opposed to a bunch of people will form a government and put it top down, right? And then we know, like, we're looking at our system, our government, our institutions that are all corrupt and seemingly failing, because that is our nature, right? We're sinful, and we'll just ruin everything we touch. And we'll do the same thing with a government that may start out with the best of intentions, but if it is not truly...
we can't place our hope and trust in a bunch of Christians who start a government, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, how did that work out for Israel?
Yeah,
didn't. Right. So there's one example from history. In the long run, it didn't work out. So
something
anyways,
about Rome, but that's probably not related. But I got to bring it up.
Oh yeah, no. Of course, Rome is related. Well, Rome was the final nail in the coffin of Jewish nationalism, right? Once the Maccabees were done, that was it.
That's right.
I mean, they got a state now, so maybe we're wrong, but for a long time, and it's certainly not a religious state. Any case, yeah, I think that's it. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
My camera just went out. No, I'm good, Mark. I'm very thankful for my time with you and with our listeners.
Wow. Okay, well, right back at you. That was a surprise, but yeah, no, I'm thankful for this opportunity as well to. I don't know, to vent, to pass on the knowledge that we find, and to learn things from other
and if anybody has a guest that they want to bring on the show and thinks that they want to learn something from them, you send them over our way, and we will try to make it happen. Because
unless we don't like that guest.
Yeah. Mark, do you have access to the email for the show? Because I don't know. Well, we get a lot of spam, so.
Yeah. No, we do check it from time to time. So if you have any good pod guests, then yeah, send it on over. And I'm not promising we'll have every one of them on, but we might. So keep the content coming. Okay, let's end this thing on a whimper. So until next time,
steward your wealth wisely. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Two Stewards Show. If you like my voice better, click subscribe.
If you like my voice better, click share.
If you like both, give us a 5-star rating.
To learn more about the show, head on over to twostewards.ca and explore our free resources. To interact with the show, feel free to reach out at hello@twostewards.ca.
We will see you in the next episode. In the meantime, steward your wealth wisely.
Nailed it.